The forest is bursting out all around after the long winter. If there is a best time in the year to observe nature closely, then spring is undoubtedly the most rewarding. There is so much happening, and even over 24 hours the changes are truly dramatic, as the flowers multiply and the canopy of the leaves in the trees unfold, unheard and seemingly magically. We've just spent a few days in the forest to attune ourselves to the pace of nature. There is so much going on in the modern world that we develop powerful filters to shut out a lot of the information that we receive. It's been estimated that we are presented daily with 3,000 advertising messages alone, so shutting out some of it is absolutely necessary if you don't fancy going bonkers. In the science of neurology, it's understood that humans can only be conscious of 7 things simultaneously, give or take 2. Funnily enough, 7 is the optimum number of people to heat round a single fire, and perhaps we have developed that particular trait because we have spent hundreds of thousands of years sitting around those fires. In the natural world, those very filters can shut out a lot of the valuable and subtle information that is around us, constantly morphing into other important information our senses relay to us. The key to becoming a fully functioning part of the natural world, rather than a passive observer, is to learn to fill your head only with that natural information. Find a spot that you are attracted to. We all have personal preferences for what we find attractive, and wild nature is no different in that regard. Your senses are the primary mechanism with which you receive information about the environment and about yourself. So use all your senses to absorb which 7 things you are aware of. It might be the position of the sun and the shades of light it creates, the colours or the smells or the sounds. The fact that one of your cheeks is slightly colder than the other because it's so sensitive to even the lightest wind. With practice, this exercise will enable you to tune into the most subtle of signals. I have tracked a fox through the forest without seeing it, just by listening to the change in the calls of the birds in the canopy above it. When living in the woods, it is best to follow a natural cycle, bed at dusk and rise at dawn. That provides the greatest opportunity to become a part of nature, as you gradually slow down, sleep and waken together with the plants and animals. As we lay in the gathering dark, warmed by a little long fire to provide some comforting light and heat, we noticed as the birdsong gradually died down until a single solitary thrush sang out its final song. A squirrel ran in silhouette along a nearby branch, and the camp robin flew under the tarp we were sleeping under. The moon and the stars came out, and the bats and the owls took over the night shift. It is through becoming sensitive to all these pieces of information that the possibility of becoming a conscious part of something much bigger than ourselves becomes a reality. In the morning, we found a thrush egg not far from the camp and could clearly see the teeth marks of that squirrel. And through that discovery, we learned something about the lives of our neighbours in the forest. That thrush had eggs in the nest, and the squirrel had got to them as it sang nearby. Hundreds or even thousands of these small observations over the course of a few days will transform how you experience the natural world. I have studied and practiced bushcraft and wilderness skills for many years, and I've been lucky enough to have had the time, the motive and the opportunity to get to discover that wild nature provides for all the necessities of life. And how could it be otherwise? Nature has been around for much, much longer than us. Without wild nature providing the necessities of life, it would be impossible for us to exist. I never think of myself as alone in the forest now. After all, I am surrounded by very many good friends, who have provided me with everything I have needed at times when nature has been wild, unruly and unpredictable. In good weather like this, the application of some of those wilderness skills enables you to live in complete comfort. You spend a good part of your day doing things that matter: cooking food, boiling water, gathering materials for the fire, making improvements to the camp, and keeping an eye on the sun so you don't end up eating in the dark. Gradually the modern world, with all its incessant distractions, slips away and becomes of no significance in your life. I can think of no greater antidote to the stresses that modern humans increasingly struggle to cope with than to take the time and make the effort to experience the world of nature up close and personal like this. Having taught this subject for some time now, I also believe that bushcraft and wilderness skills offer the best mechanism through which people can come to rediscover our complete dependence on nature, the benefits of connecting directly with it, and the power of that realisation.